The first sister that we're starting off with here today is corn. Corn is planted first as it takes the longest to grow. It is also the plant out of the three sisters that grows the tallest. And they are beneficial to our health because they have a lot of vitamins. They also have a thing called lecithin and zeaxanthin. So these two components actually play a huge part into our eye health. These are going to help prevent any infections into our eyes, just like kind of carrots do, you know. We grow up learning that carrots are going to make us see in the dark type thing. It is also really rich in fiber, and within this 1 cup of corn that we're going to be adding into our soup today, we have approximately 16 grams of fiber. Fiber is obviously really great for our digestive health. And for those who didn't know, corn is actually 73% water. With all this being said, I think corn is really great for elders since they're kind of technically more at risk for eye infections. So once the corn plants have grown to approximately a foot tall, we can then start planting our second sister, which is our green beans. Now, the green beans grow on vines, right? So that's where the corn stalk comes in. The vines need to wrap around something, so they are able to wrap around the corn stalks. And then what beans do to help out the corn is it brings nitrogen out from the air and brings it into the soil. Beans are really great for us because they're really high in vitamin K. And along with vitamin K, they're pretty good in calcium. And so calcium is what really helps out our bones to be strong. So we can lay off the cow milk to some extent and start eating more green beans. On that note, beans are great for children as they are growing, and they're great for elders as well because they're more fragile and they take longer, their bones take longer to heal. The green beans also have a lot of iron and folic acid, and so the folic acid is what creates DNA. And so this is really great for folks who are pregnant, you know. It'll help that folic acid, will protect the fetus against neural tube defects. But it is important for those who are on blood thinners to be aware of how much calcium and vitamin K they consume, as it can have an effect on blood clots. The next sister that we have is the squash. This one is a butternut squash. We're gonna actually be adding 2 of them into this recipe. And so the squash is planted last out of all 3. And what it helps with the other plants is the picks on the leaves. That helps prevent pests from eating at the crops. And because the leaves just spread out all over, it prevents weeds growing around the crops. I'm going to actually puree this one. And it's beneficial because, well, it's actually 87% water, which I definitely did not know that. It's also really high in, yet again, fiber and potassium. So this is really great for anyone who may have diabetes or is trying to prevent from getting diabetes, because it really helps with blood sugar and blood pressure. It helps stabilize it. Next squash that I picked here is, there's 2 names for it, and the other one I cannot pronounce. So another word that we have for it is kapocha squash. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Kapocha squash. So this is actually a mix of, it's a cross between pumpkin and sweet potato. So we're going to be adding this in chunks into our soup. What's great about this is that it's actually really low in calories, and it's a good source of beta-carotene. So our body naturally converts beta-carotene into vitamin A. And so this is great. I mean, squash in general, both of them are great for preventing heart disease and cancer. So I got the oven preheating to 350 right now. And what I did is cut the butternut squash in half, scooped out all the seeds just with a spoon, and then we're going to be laying them skinward up and baking them for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, until the inside get really soft so that we can throw it into a blender and puree it. So the next ingredient that we're going to be working with here is onions. Aside from making us cry while cutting it, I currently have tears running down my cheeks right now. Oh my goodness. They have a lot of antioxidants that really help with inflammation, sorry. Woo! I got tears. Can you see how red my eyes are? Onions really help to reduce cholesterol, and it lowers the risk for heart disease. And very much like garlic, which is our next ingredient, they help lower the risk of stomach cancer. Garlic helps lower the risk of stomach cancer. It's also really great for our immune system, and we often go for garlic when we have colds. There is actually a scientifically proven that the consumption of garlic reduced the average cold from 7 days to a day and a half to 2 days. So, really great. I need some tissues. So I'm also going to be adding a little bit of herbs into here. So we got some oregano, some thyme, sage, and coriander. I'm starting off with 1 teaspoon, but it could be very much so that I'm going to be adding more. So once our onions and garlic have gotten a chance to soften up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add in our herbs. That the herbs have cooked in with our onions and garlic, we're now going to add in most of the rest of our ingredients. Because, oh, I almost forgot. We are also adding in some lentils. Lentils are great in fiber. They help they help lower cholesterol. They're a great source of protein. They are a good protection against diabetes and colon cancer. And actually, during World War II, lentils were used as the source of protein to replace animal protein. So we're going to add in that. Give it a good stir again. My stomach is definitely starting to growl. I'm going to put the temperature up to high so that we can bring this to a boil. So I've now used just a regular spoon and scooped out the middle of the butternut squash and threw it into my little blender here. But honestly, with how soft it is after being cooked for so long, you could easily use a potato masher, maybe even a fork. I'm definitely sure this sort of blender was not necessary in order to get this into a good puree here. We have it, our final soup. Definitely could have added some more water or vegetable broth just to give it some more liquid in here since we have so much hearty vegetables in here. There is no limitation to who could have this because each ingredient has its own benefit or shares the same benefit